Before anything, I want to give you a spoiler alert. This is not a review. I'm not making a video for those who haven't played the game already to talk about its pros and cons and help them make their decision about whether they want to play this game or not. This is all about my feelings and opinions about this game for those of you who have already played it. So don't watch this if you don't want me to spoil the shit out of this game. And with that out of the way, let's begin. At first, I was hesitant to pick this title up, because the old me wasn't really into horror or survival genres. Sure, I always welcomed a good story, but I preferred getting my jaw dropped by explosive combat and rains of bullets and bombs and those kind of things. Crouching half the game to avoid being detected, I don't know, saving every single bullet like my life depends on it, or searching every little cabinet and drawer to find a piece of rag to make health kits. Well, you know where I'm going with this. I wasn't this type of guy, but then I watched a few video clips of this game on Instagram and YouTube, and I was immediately drawn by the gorgeous graphics and buttery smooth gameplay. So I decided to finally wear my big boy pants and finish the first game so I could get to play the second one. I have so many compliments about this game, and I promise to talk your ears off about how much I love it. So I'd rather nag a little bit in the beginning just to be able to move on and focus on the positives. The first complaint I have about this game is its length. When you start an RPG, you know what kind of brain-eating, life-wasting nightmare you're walking into. But when it comes to survival horror games, you'd expect an exhilarating but short ride, like getting on a roller coaster. And the first game does exactly that. However, the second game is more than twice as long, and although one might argue that if something is this good, why shouldn't we just have more of it, I'd say that sometimes you need to pay attention to your pacing to keep that roller coaster of yours exciting. Since the gameplay stays relatively the same throughout the whole game, with some minor changes when you switch characters mid-game, you should know what I mean by saying that the game could be a little bit shorter for its own good. My second complaint, and no, it's not what you're expecting me to say, is the difficulty. Well, I admit, I play most horror games on easy because having more health and more bullets makes me less prone to shit my pants. But since Last of Us isn't really that scary and you can stealth kill enemies 90% of the time, I decided to risk big and play it on hard difficulty. I know some of you would just shout at me that the real hard mode is the grounded mode, permadeath, and not the hard mode. But you gotta understand that if I'm switching from easy to hard, I need some kind of challenge, right? But the obsessed item hoarder that I am, I ended up having the exact same playstyle, which was saving bullets, bombs, and resources up until the final mission, and restarting every encounter 10 freaking times just to get things done as silently and perfectly as possible. So there was really not much of a difference for me, and I felt kinda bad for even trying the hard mode. Alright, I'm officially done with the complaining, now let's get to the good stuff. Okay, I know this might sound crazy, but this game came out 5 years ago. Yes, you heard me right. It came out in 2020 on PS4, and it is to this day one of the biggest technical marvels, even and especially compared to the games in 2025. How they managed to make the graphics and physics of this game this good is really beyond me. But I'll say this. The main reason I even considered playing this game was simply because of how freaking good it looked. The games that can compete with The Last of Us 2 in graphics are fewer than the number of my fingers, and this fact alone gives this game a special score in my records. But it's not just the eerie level of realism that makes this game so good. There are lots of other things, and I intend to save the best for last. So, let's talk about the gameplay now. It has everything that the first game had, but now they're bigger, better, and improved. I still love crafting my own stuff, upgrading my guns and workbenches, listening to zombies through walls, and killing enemies one by one like a goddamn ninja. I tried my best to be as silent as possible with Ellie, but with Abby, I kinda took advantage of her unholy strength and muscular build to be less cautious and more savage, and I don't regret it. Both characters brought me so much joy with their own ways of handling situations, and I felt totally sunk into the game each time I had to crawl through some bush to get to another poor bastard and slit their throat. There isn't really much to say here, except that the devs knew exactly what they were cooking and they did the best they could in this regard. The acting, voice acting, music and sound effects of this game have the quality that can define the word AAA in a video game. There have been no errors whatsoever in any of these departments. The actors and their voices feel even more natural than most movies. The guitar music is as sad and haunting as the first game, and the sound effects are still effective in stealth and combat, as well as being damn satisfying, especially with guns like the revolver and the shotgun. This game is drenched in love from everyone who has worked on it, and I, as a player, can truly appreciate that. Okay, it's time to address the elephant in the room, the story. I know you guys were probably waiting for me to start talking about Joel and Abby and everything, so here it goes. I've heard all the complaints and nagging and bitching from people, but if there was one thing in this game that was even more than perfect, it would be the storytelling. There aren't many games, or heck, even many movies that come close to this level of mastery regarding how to tell a story. This game managed to break my heart, make me cry, make me laugh, make me really angry, really scared, and more than anything, completely captivated by its story. I lost my shit when Joel died so early in the game. I felt the hatred that Ellie had in her heart for Abby. I was dumbstruck when I found out that I had to play as Abby for almost half of the game, and I was genuinely shocked when I realized that at some point I was rooting for Abby more than I was for Ellie. I was lost and confused, didn't know which side to be on. I loved and related to both of these characters. I saw both of their reasons and motives for doing all the horrible things that they did, and it broke my heart every time I had to see them fight like that. I even cried when I saw Abby looking like a dried stick in the final scene of the game. I didn't want to continue playing, because I didn't want to hurt her anymore. I didn't want Ellie to do any of those things. I wanted them to be friends, but deep down I knew that it was insane. This game was a real roller coaster of emotions for me. Many books, films and games have tried time after time to show the darkness of taking revenge, but none has come even close to the impact that this single game had on my mind. They both lost everything just because they couldn't forgive each other. And I can't even blame them, because I probably would have done the same thing if I was in either of these scenarios. I'm not sure what else to say about the plot, but I'm sure that I won't be moved by any other game like I was with this one. At least not for a very, very long time. In the end, I want to say that I have played and finished hundreds of games so far, and I have seen the highest and the lowest the industry has gone to. And I am glad that I had the honor to experience this game not once but twice in my lifetime, and I am quite certain that The Last of Us Part 2 will forever be in my heart. Thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to let me know how you felt about this game. Can't wait to talk to you about that in the comments.